Good morning, afternoon, everyone. When we talk about working hard on ourselves, it's easy to jump straight to the doing, the hustle, the grind, the relentless pursuit of goals. But let me tell you this, none of that matters if you haven't built a strong foundation within yourself. Success is an inside job, and it starts with self-awareness. It starts with asking yourself the tough questions. Who am I? What do I stand for? What are the stories I'm telling myself about what's possible? Because if you don't address those questions, you'll work hard, yes, but you'll find yourself spinning in circles, chasing achievements that don't fulfill you. To work hard on yourself, you have to embrace vulnerability. Now, I know that word makes some people squirm. Vulnerability? Isn't that weakness? Isn't that exposing yourself to getting hurt? No. Vulnerability is courage. It's being honest with yourself about where you are, even if it's uncomfortable. It's being willing to face your fears, your insecurities, and all the messy, imperfect parts of yourself. That's where real growth happens. That's where transformation begins. Most people avoid this work because it's hard. They put on a mask. They show the world what they think it wants to see. And inside, they're battling self-doubt and fear. But let me tell you something. You can't run from what's inside you. It will catch up with you. If you want to be unstoppable, you need to deal with it. You need to sit with yourself and ask, where am I holding back? What am I afraid of? What's stopping me from showing up fully in my life? That kind of honesty is the ultimate act of self-respect. Good leaders set goals for themselves. And once you've opened that door, the next step is to rewrite the story you've been living by. Too many of us live by scripts we didn't write. Scripts handed to us by society, by family, by past experiences. Scripts that say you're not good enough, or you'll never make it, or this is just the way life is. But here's the truth. You can choose a different story. You can decide right now that you're done living small. And if you do that for yourself, then you're going to live a better, because I said you can decide to show up as the version of yourself you've always known you could be, not perfect, but growing, striving, becoming. Working hard on yourself means showing up for yourself every day, even when it's not easy. It means doing the inner work, even when no one else sees it. It's about building discipline, not just to achieve external goals, but to nurture your inner world. It's about saying, I am worth the effort. I am worth the investment. Because if you don't believe in your own worth, why would anyone else? Here's the secret most people miss. When you do this inner work, everything else gets easier. Your relationships improve because you're not operating from a place of fear or defensiveness. Your career takes off because you have clarity and confidence. You start attracting opportunities because people are drawn to the authenticity and strength you've cultivated. It's not magic. It's the ripple effect of becoming someone who knows their own value. And yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable at times. Growth always does. You're going to have days when it feels like nothing is changing, like the work isn't paying off. But let me remind you, the seeds you're planting now will bear fruit later. You might not see it yet, but every time you choose to face your fears instead of running from them, every time you choose growth over comfort, you're building a version of yourself that is unstoppable. So, what's holding you back from starting? What's stopping you from looking in the mirror and saying, I'm ready to do the work? Maybe it's fear, maybe it's doubt. Maybe you're waiting for the right time. But here's what I know. The right time doesn't exist. There's only now. And the longer you wait, the longer you delay the life you're capable of living. If you want to be unstoppable, if you want to create a life that's bigger than your fears and doubts, it starts with you. Not the you that the world sees, but the you that only you know. Work hard on that version, honor that version, and watch how everything else begins to fall into place. You can't fake this kind of work. You can't shortcut it. But if you commit to it, if you embrace the process, you will discover strength, resilience, and purpose that you didn't even know was there. And when that happens, when you've built that unshakable foundation within yourself, you won't just be unstoppable. You'll be We live in a world obsessed with perfection. Everywhere we look, there's this unspoken expectation to be flawless. Perfect job, perfect relationships, perfect results. But here's the truth no one tells you. Perfection is a myth. It's a shiny, unattainable ideal that does nothing but hold us back. What truly matters, what moves the needle in life, is consistency. The ability to show up, day after day, no matter how you feel, no matter how messy things get. That's where real progress comes from. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated to start something because you didn't think you could do it perfectly? How many times have you put off a goal because you weren't sure you had all the pieces figured out? That's the trap of perfection. It paralyzes us. It convinces us to wait, to overthink, to stall. But here's the thing. Success doesn't come to those who wait for the perfect moment. It comes to those who take imperfect action over and over again. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not something people celebrate or post about on social media. No one throws a party for the days you showed up when you didn't feel like it, or the quiet hours you spent grinding away when no one was watching. But those moments? Those are the ones that build greatness. Those are the moments that separate the unstoppable from everyone else. Because it's not about doing it perfectly once. It's about doing it persistently, no matter what. And let me be clear, consistency doesn't mean you have to be 100% every single day. Some days you'll feel unstoppable and you'll give it everything you've got. Other days, just showing up is a victory in itself. That's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. Think of it like a staircase. You don't have to leap to the top in one giant jump. You just have to take one step at a time, no matter how small. And as long as you're moving forward, you're making progress. The problem is, most people give up before they see the results of their efforts. They start strong, fueled by motivation, but the moment things get hard, the moment progress slows down, they quit. But let me tell you something. The magic happens in the mundane. It happens in the moments when you want to quit but choose to keep going anyway. That's when you're building the discipline, the resilience, and the habits that make you unstoppable. It's easy to look at successful people and think they're different from us, that they have something we don't. But the truth is, most of them aren't any more talented, any more gifted, or any more special than you or me. What they have is the willingness to keep going, even when it's hard. They've learned that progress is rarely linear. There will be setbacks, plateaus, and moments of doubt. But they don't let those moments define them. They trust the process and keep putting in the work. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's hard to stay consistent when you're not seeing immediate results, when you're putting in the effort and it feels like nothing's happening. But let me tell you this. Progress is happening, even if you can't see it yet. Every action you take is planting a seed, and just like with any seed, it takes time to grow. You have to water it, nurture it, and trust that it will bloom in its own time. That's the power of consistency. It compounds. What feels small today can lead to something extraordinary tomorrow. I'm not saying it's easy. Consistency requires discipline, and discipline requires commitment. But here's the good news. You don't have to be disciplined in every area of your life all at once. Start small. Focus on one thing. Maybe it's committing to 10 minutes of exercise a day, or setting aside 15 minutes to work on a skill you've been meaning to learn. The point isn't how much you do, it's that you do it regularly, because the more you build the habit of showing up, the easier it becomes to keep going. And let's talk about failure, because it's going to happen. You're going to miss a day, you're going to mess up, and that's okay. Consistency isn't about being perfect, it's about bouncing back, One missed step doesn't erase the progress you've made. What matters is that you don't let a slip turn into a stop. Get back up, keep going. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fail, they're the ones who refuse to quit. So if you're waiting for the perfect time to start, stop waiting. If you're holding back because you're afraid you won't get it right, stop holding back. Start now, start messy, start imperfectly, just start. And then keep showing up. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You stop worrying about being perfect and start focusing on being better. You stop chasing the end goal and start falling in love with the process. And that, my friends, is what makes you unstoppable. We've been taught to see vulnerability as a liability, something to hide or avoid at all costs. But I want to challenge that belief. Vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a doorway. It's the place where courage begins. It's the key to unlocking your potential, because without it, you'll never truly take the risks that lead to growth. Think about it. Every time you've done something meaningful, whether it was speaking your mind, starting something new, or putting yourself out there, it required vulnerability. It required you to step into the unknown, not knowing how things would turn out. And that's the essence of courage. The problem is we're so afraid of being judged, of failing, or of getting hurt that we build walls around ourselves. We hide behind those walls, thinking we're protecting ourselves, but in reality, we're limiting ourselves. When you avoid vulnerability, you avoid connection, you avoid opportunity, you avoid the kind of growth that only happens when you're willing to be seen for who you really are. And here's the kicker. You can't fake this. People can sense authenticity. They know when you're being real and when you're not. And the world responds to authenticity in ways you can't even imagine. Now, let me be clear. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing. It doesn't mean exposing every part of yourself to anyone who will listen. It means being honest. It means showing up as you are, even when it's uncomfortable. It means saying, this is me, this is where I'm at, these are my struggles, and this is what I'm working toward. That kind of honesty is rare, and it's powerful. It builds trust, it creates connection, and it allows you to step into spaces you might have thought were off limits. When you embrace vulnerability, something amazing happens. You start to see fear for what it really is. Fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal. It's a sign that you're stepping into something bigger than yourself, something that has the potential to change you. Now, let's be honest, growth is scary. It's uncomfortable. But on the other side of that fear is everything you've been looking for. The life you want, the impact you want to make, the person you want to become. It's all on the other side of vulnerability. And the only way to get there is to go through it. Here's what most people don't realize. Vulnerability and resilience go hand in hand. You can't build resilience by avoiding hard things. You build it by walking through them, by allowing yourself to feel the discomfort, the uncertainty, the fear, and choosing to keep going anyway. Every time you do that, you're proving to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. And that's how you become unstoppable. Not by pretending you're fearless, but by embracing the fear and moving forward with it. I know this isn't easy. It takes practice. It takes courage. But the more you do it, the stronger you become. You start to realize that vulnerability isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced. Because the moments when you feel the most exposed, the most uncomfortable, those are the moments when you're truly alive. Those are the moments when you're growing, when you're becoming the person you were meant to be. And let's talk about failure, because vulnerability and failure are closely linked. When you put yourself out there, when you take risks, you're not always going to succeed. And that's okay. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. It's how you learn. It's how you grow. The question isn't whether you'll fail. It's how you'll respond when you do. Will you let it define you, or will you let it refine you? So, the choice is yours. The beautiful thing about vulnerability is that it creates space for others to be vulnerable too. When you have the courage to show up as you are, you give others permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect. You build trust, connection, and community. And those things are priceless. Because no one succeeds alone. The people who go the furthest are the ones who build meaningful relationships along the way. And those relationships start with vulnerability. So here's my challenge to you. Stop running from vulnerability. Stop hiding from the things that scare you. Instead, lean into them. Embrace the discomfort. Speak your truth. Show up as you are, not as who you think you're supposed to be. Because when you do, you'll discover a strength you didn't know you had. You'll realize that vulnerability isn't your enemy, it's your superpower. And when you tap into that power, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Superpower. Life has a way of testing us, doesn't it? You're going along, doing your best, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, something happens that knocks the wind out of you. It might be a failure, a setback, or a loss that feels too heavy to carry. In those moments, it's easy to feel like the ground is crumbling beneath your feet. But here's the truth. Resilience isn't built in the easy times. It's forged in the moments when you feel like giving up but choose to keep going anyway. Emotional resilience is what separates those who merely survive from those who thrive, no matter what life throws at them. Resilience doesn't mean you don't feel the weight of challenges. It doesn't mean you're impervious to pain or immune to struggle. It means you feel it all. The disappointment, the frustration, the fear, but you don't let it consume you. You find a way to move forward, even if it's just one small step at a time. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to adapt without losing sight of who you are and what you stand for. And the good news? Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you can build, one choice at a time. The first step to building emotional resilience is learning to manage your perspective. When challenges arise, it's easy to get caught up in the moment, to let your emotions dictate your actions. But the way you frame a situation can completely change how you experience it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow through this?" That shift in mindset is powerful because it takes you out of victim mode and puts you in a position of strength. It reminds you that every setback is an opportunity to rise stronger than before. Now, let me be honest, shifting your perspective doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't mean slapping a smile on your face and ignoring the reality of your situation. What it does mean is acknowledging the hard stuff without letting it define you. It's okay to feel frustrated, angry, or even defeated for a moment. What's not okay is staying there. Resilience is about allowing yourself to feel, then choosing to take action anyway. Another key to emotional resilience is understanding the power of self-talk. The way you speak to yourself in challenging moments matters more than you might realize. Think about it. If your inner voice is constantly critical, telling you you're not good enough, not strong enough, not capable, how do you think that's going to impact your ability to bounce back? But if you learn to speak to yourself with kindness, with encouragement, with belief, you create a foundation of strength to draw from. In those moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to yourself is, "I've got this. I can handle this." And here's another truth about resilience. It's not a solo journey. You don't have to carry everything on your own. In fact, one of the most resilient things you can do is ask for help when you need it. We weren't meant to go through life alone. We were built for connection, for community, for leaning on one another in times of need. Asking for support isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It's saying, "I value myself enough to reach out." And often it's through those connections that we find the strength to keep moving forward. But let's be real. Building resilience takes work. It's a practice, not a one-time thing. It's about making the choice day after day to face challenges head on instead of running from them. It's about finding meaning in the struggle, even when it feels impossible. And it's about trusting that every time you get back up, you're becoming a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. Think about the times in your life when you've been tested, the times when you thought you couldn't make it, but you did. What got you through? Maybe it was a quiet determination, a refusal to quit, or even just a glimmer of hope that things would get better. Those moments didn't break you, they built you. They taught you that you're stronger than you think, braver than you realize, and more resilient than you know. Resilience doesn't mean you'll never face challenges again. It doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy. What it does mean is that no matter what comes your way, you'll have the tools, the mindset, and the strength to keep going. You'll know that even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you, you have what it takes to rise. And when you embrace that, when you truly believe in your ability to handle whatever life throws at you, you become unstoppable. One of the most important truths we often overlook is that the people around us shape who we are. The relationships we cultivate, the company we keep, and the energy we allow into our lives, they all have a profound impact on how far we can go. If you want to be unstoppable, you can't carry the weight of toxic relationships, negativity, or the kind of people who drain your energy and limit your potential. But if you want to be set on a life that's authentic in its own way, you have to be intentional about surrounding yourself with the right people, those who inspire you, challenge you, and lift you higher. There's a saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And whether we like it or not, there's a lot of truth to that. The people you let into your inner circle influence your mindset, your beliefs, and even your habits. If you surround yourself with people who complain, who focus on problems instead of solutions, who settle for mediocrity, guess what? That energy is going to rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who dream big, who take action, who see challenges as opportunities, that energy becomes contagious too. The right people won't let you play small. They'll hold you accountable to your potential. They'll challenge you to grow in ways you never thought possible. They'll celebrate your wins, no matter how big or small, but they'll also call you out when you're not living up to your own standards. That's the kind of support you need if you want to reach new heights. It's not about finding people who agree with you all the time, or tell you what you want to hear. It's about finding people who tell you what you need to hear. People who push you to be better, even when it's uncomfortable. But here's the thing, this isn't just about the people you surround yourself with, it's also about the kind of person you choose to be. Because relationships are a two-way street. If you want to attract the kind of people who elevate you, you have to be someone who elevates others. You have to be the kind of person who shows up with integrity, who supports and uplifts the people around you, who brings value to every connection you make. The energy you put out into the world is the energy you'll attract back. So ask yourself, who are the people in your life right now? Are they adding to your fire or extinguishing it? Are they lifting you up or holding you back? And just as importantly, how are you showing up for them? Are you contributing to their growth and success? Are you being the kind of friend, partner, or colleague you would want in your own corner? These are tough questions, but they're necessary if you're serious about becoming unstoppable. Sometimes doing this work means having to let go of relationships that no longer serve you, and that's hard. It's never easy to walk away from people, especially if they've been a part of your life for a long time. But holding on to relationships out of guilt or obligation doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve them. Letting go isn't about judgment or resentment. It's about making space for what aligns with your purpose and your goals. A message from your heart and your soul. It's about choosing growth over comfort, potential over familiarity, And let's not underestimate the power of mentorship and learning from others. Surrounding yourself with people who've walked the path you want to take is one of the smartest moves you can make. These are the people who can offer you guidance, perspective, and wisdom from their own experiences. They can help you see around corners and avoid mistakes you might not even realize you're making. But remember, mentorship isn't about passively receiving advice. It's about actively applying what you learn. It's about taking ownership of your journey while allowing others to guide and support you along the way. The beauty of surrounding yourself with the right people is that it creates a ripple effect. When you're surrounded by positivity, inspiration, and accountability, it not only impacts your life, it impacts how you show up in the world. It changes the way you interact with others, the energy you bring to your work, and the legacy you leave behind. And that ripple effect can be profound. Because when you're at your best, you inspire others to be at their best too. So if you're serious about becoming unstoppable, take a good hard look at your circle. Surround yourself with people who see your potential even when you can't. People who challenge you to level up, who believe in you on the days you don't believe in yourself. Be intentional about the energy you allow into your life, and be just as intentional about the energy you give to others. Because when you build a foundation of relationships rooted in growth, trust, and mutual respect, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The final piece of the puzzle is vision. Vision is the compass that guides you, the force that pulls you forward when everything else feels uncertain. It's the clarity of knowing where you're going, even if the road isn't always clear. Without vision, you're just reacting to life, moving from one task to the next, one obstacle to another, without any sense of direction. Vision isn't just about what you want to achieve, it's about the person you want to become. It's about the mark you want to leave, the legacy you want to create, and the impact you want to make. What separates those who are unstoppable from those who stall out is their commitment to that vision. It's not something they casually think about when it's convenient. It's something they live, breathe, and fight for every single day. They don't let distractions derail them or challenges deter them because they've made a decision. They've decided that their vision is worth the work, worth the sacrifice, worth every ounce of effort it takes to make it a reality. And that decision changes everything. The challenge for most people isn't that they don't have a vision, it's that they're not clear enough about it. They keep it vague, maybe because they're afraid to commit to something specific. But here's the thing, a vague vision won't get you anywhere. Saying, I want to be successful or I want to be happy isn't enough. What does success look like for you? What does happiness feel like? Who are you with? What are you doing? How are you contributing to the world? If you can't answer those questions, your vision isn't clear enough. And without clarity, it's like trying to drive through thick fog. You'll move, but you won't go far. Clarity brings focus, and focus creates momentum. When you know what you're working toward, every decision becomes easier. You start to see what aligns with your vision and what doesn't. You recognize the opportunities that will move you closer to your goals and the distractions that will pull you away from them. And here's the secret. Saying no to what doesn't align is just as important as saying yes to what does. In fact, sometimes it's even more important. Because every time you say no to something that's not part of your vision, you're saying yes to something bigger, something better, something that truly matters. But having a vision isn't just about knowing where you're going, it's about believing you can get there. It's about having the audacity to dream big even when the world tells you to play it safe. Too many people let fear shrink their vision. They tell themselves they'll aim lower because it feels safer, less risky. But the problem with aiming low is that even if you hit your target, it won't feel satisfying. Playing small never does. The truth is, it takes just as much effort to chase a small dream as it does a big one. So why not go after the one that sets your soul on fire? A strong vision will also carry you through the tough times. Because let's be real, pursuing your vision isn't always going to be easy. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when the obstacles feel insurmountable, and when giving up feels like the easier option. But if your vision is strong enough, it will anchor you. It will remind you why you started in the first place, and why it's worth continuing. It will give you the strength to push through when everything inside you wants to quit. Vision isn't just about you, it's about the impact you're going to make on others. When your vision is tied to something bigger than yourself, it becomes even more powerful. It stops being just about personal success and starts being about contribution. How are you going to make a difference? How will the work you're doing ripple out to impact the lives of others? When your vision is connected to purpose, it fuels you in ways nothing else can. It gives you a reason to keep going, even when it's hard. The other incredible thing about vision is how it inspires others. When you're clear about where you're going and why, it draws people in. It attracts the right opportunities, the right support, the right energy. People want to be part of something bigger than themselves. And when they see you living with purpose and determination, it gives them permission to dream bigger for themselves too. Your vision becomes a beacon, not just for you, but for everyone around you. So ask yourself, what is your vision? What is it that sets your soul on fire, that makes you excited to get out of bed in the morning? And are you living in alignment with it? Because if you're not, it's time to make a change. It's time to get clear, to commit, and to go after it with everything you've got. Because when you have a vision and the courage to pursue it, nothing can stop you. Nothing.